From those around, I hear a cry.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu falan mudilla lahu wa man yudlil falan hadiya lahu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum, my dear Muslims. Welcome to another video of GreenSideDawah. The topic we'll be talking about, inshallah, in this video is what is among us right now, which is Ramadan. This is a big topic and I can spend a couple of hours getting through it. So I would advise you to defer the reading on this topic, because me briefly going through it in this video does not justify this topic at all. I'll recommend that you visit websites such as kalamullah.com, which contains many books about Ramadan. So brothers and sisters, some facts about Ramadan. As we know, Ramadan is the fourth pillar of Islam, and in this month the Quran was revealed, a guidance for mankind, a guidance that has not been changed, a guidance that no one has been able to manipulate, unlike the Torah or the Injil. In this month contains the night of decree, or Laylatul Qadr, the night which is said to be better than 1,000 months, i.e. approximately 83 years. And we know that in this night the person who prays with faith and hope of reward will have all his previous sins wiped out. We know that in Ramadan the gates of paradise are open and the gates of hell are closed, which just shows the mercy of Allah. It's the mercy of Allah, and it shows that this is the chance for us to get into paradise, to get into Jannah. The gates are open for us, the Jannah is open for us. And we know that every night in Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves a number of people from the nar, the hellfire. We also know that in Ramadan, the big shayateen, the shaitan, devils, are chained. And that is the reason why in Ramadan, a lot of people find it easier to practice. You see a lot of people find it easier to pray. You see a lot of people find it easier to control their tongue. You see a lot of people find it easier to go to Salah. People are more motivated. People are more willing to practice the deen. This is the evidence of the shaitan being chained away. Another fact that we know is completing the Taraweeh Salah with the Imam till the end of the Salah is equal to praying all night. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever stands in prayer in Ramadan with faith and hope of reward will have all his previous sins wiped. So this is actually a very good opportunity for us every night in Ramadan, and I ask myself foremost to make most use of doing extra Salah in Ramadan, going to Taraweeh with faith, with the hope of reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the reward that Allah will forgive our previous sins. We also know that in Ramadan, good deeds are multiplied by many folds. Some scholars argue that a good deed is equivalent to about 70 times than normal. Some argue that the good deeds can be equivalent to 500 deeds, and even more so in Laylatul Qadr. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the opportunity to catch the night of decree. Ameen. This brings us quickly to the next question: why do we fast? It is a misconception that many people will answer the reason we fast is to see how hard it is, or how the poor people feel. This is partly true, because when we are fasting we do realize the bounty, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much Allah has blessed us with food, with wealth. We feel the hunger and we know how the poor people feel. But the main reason we fast is because It's the fourth pillar of Islam. It's a direct order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The main reason we fast is because Allah has told us to do so. And by fasting, we get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the reasons we fast is to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to gain taqwa, goodness. It also helps us to train our soul to hardship and to soften us and get closer to Allah. Because when we are fasting, we realize how weak we are. We realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all glory belongs to Him, all power belongs to Him, and He is the most powerful, the oft-forgiving, the most merciful. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, fasting Ramadan is a means of expiation of sins. So fasting is a means of getting rid of our sins. You will see that the righteous people, the people of taqwa, welcome Ramadan to gain high rank and not hate it. You see many people welcoming Ramadan with open arms because they know this will be a month where they could utilize to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to go through the open Jannah door. They know this month will be easier for ibadah, for worship, because the big shaitans, the big shaiteen are locked, chained away. They welcome it because it's the best opportunity of the year, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted them the lifespan to see another Ramadan, an opportunity for all believers. However, you see many people regretting Ramadan. A lot of people saying, oh, it is Ramadan, I cannot do so and so. Oh, it is Ramadan, it will get away. It will get in the way of my work. It will get in the way of my daily schedule. This is not the right thing to think. Rather, we should be welcoming Ramadan. We should be utilizing Ramadan. We should be utilizing Ramadan as best as we can to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have our past sins forgiven, and to cement our name in Jannah, if you like. As we know that while we are fasting, angels are constantly asking Allah for forgiveness of the person who is fasting. And any good deed, any regular good deeds that we do whilst we were not fasting, while we are fasting, we'll be getting even more good deeds for it. As mentioned earlier, we know that whoever prays Qiyam, Tarawih in Ramadan with the Imam until he finishes, it will be recorded for him that he spent the whole night in prayer. Now, some virtues of Ramadan. In Ramadan or during Ramadan, it is strongly recommended to study the Quran, because this is the month when the Quran, a guidance for mankind, was revealed. It is recommended to study in Arabic and also to understand the translation of the Quran. By the translation of the Quran, understanding translation, you will feel the beauty of the Quran rather than just reciting it in Arabic. It is also the Sunnah in Ramadan to observe Ittikaf, which can be used to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ittikaf is spending a day in the masjid, looking away from the day-to-day runnings of the dunya. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spent the last 10 days of Ramadan in the mosque. Also, whoever fasts Ramadan and then fasts 6 days after Eid, and this does not have to be consecutive 6 days in a row, but just 6 days after Eid, it will be like fasting an entire year. So you can fast this together or separately, these 6 days. It is also recommended to give charity, extra charity during Ramadan, extra than you normally would do so. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's the best time to give charity. Also, especially in the UK, it is the school holidays of Ramadan. Well, some parts of Ramadan will fall into the school holidays. So I would also recommend everyone, including myself, of going to the masjid for the Fajr, because Rasulullah said, whoever prays Fajr in Jama'ah and remains seated, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until sunrise, and then performs 2 rakats, it will be for him as a reward of a complete act of Hajj and Umrah. Imagine the reward in Ramadan, what will it be for doing such an act. We would also recommend that in Ramadan you reflect upon your own behavior. You look at how you behave amongst others, especially amongst your Muslim brothers and sisters. Control our tongue. Refrain from using foul language, from swear words. It is the best of month to control our tongue. It is the best of month to see how we act amongst others and how our tongue acts amongst others. Now for the rulings of fasting. The first and the foremost is the intention to fast should only fast out of faith, hoping for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not to fast to boast or to show others that you are fasting. But the foremost reason that you should be fasting is for the sake of Allah, hoping for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another ruling of fasting is to observe fast at the appropriate times. All Muslims are required to fast except child and those who haven't reached maturity, mentally ill, and the menstruating woman. Of course, the menstruating woman can make up the fast when they're feeling better again, the 6-month fast that they have missed during the course of the year. Others include those illnesses which will get worse if they fast, the traveller, the pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. They can make up for it later or feed the poor. Another ruling of fasting is to abstain from acts which will nullify a fast, such as consumption of water or food. Just a reminder that we are going quickly through the rulings, we are going quickly through aspects of Ramadan and fasting in this video. To find more detailed virtues and rulings of fast, it is recommended to read a book. Now, examples of things that break the fast and will require to make up for it. Number 1, anything you put by force into the mouth of a fasting person. Water going down the throat whilst gargling. One of the most common mistakes I've seen people fall into, one of the most common tricks of the shaitan I've seen people fall into is the habit of gargling water when they're feeling hot. Especially if you're playing sports or it's a really hot day. A lot of people have this habit of using water to cool down. We must remember that when we use water to gurgle or to cool down when we're feeling hot and we put the water in our mouth, the tongue can absorb that water, and that could lead to us breaking a fast. Another thing about gurgling is you could accidentally end up drinking that water while it's in your mouth. So it is best recommended to stay away from gurgling as much as you can. Of course, you need to be gurgling when you're doing wudu, but it's best to stay away from it as much as you can when it's not necessity for you to gurgle. Another thing that can break your fast is to vomit mouthful intentionally. You should stay away from things that will make us vomit. Another example is swallowing something edible equal to or bigger than a grain of gram which was stuck between the teeth. So any food that was stuck between our teeth, to eat it while we're fasting, that is equal to a gram or more. Smoking is nothing that breaks our fast. Sexual intercourse with your husband and your wife breaks your fast. Swallowing the blood from the gums is another action that will break your fast. Also, bleeding excessively can break your fast. Having a cut will not break your fast, but if blood was to be pouring out, that will break your fast. Now to go through a quick example of things that don't actually break your fast. To eat and drink something unintentionally or accidentally. As we know that if we accidentally eat something like completely unintentional, it is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has fed us. If we were to drink unintentionally, completely forgetting that we're fasting, it is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided us with water. An example of thing that doesn't break your fast is a fly or a mosquito or other object going down your throat that was not intentional, that was unintentional, accidentally going down. Water entering your ears does not break your fast. Dust or dirt going in the throat does not break your fast. Swallowing your own saliva does not break fast because it's a bodily fluid inside you. A common mistake I've seen in some cultures is people actually throwing away saliva. This can cause people to be even more thirsty. Spitting out all your saliva, rather you could swallow your own saliva, let it be. Taking a bath does not break your fast. Rubbing oil onto your body or hair does not break your fast. To vomit accidentally unintentionally does not break your fast. So these are some of the virtues and the rulings of Ramadan that we have briefly gone through. Let's make the best use of Ramadan to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to enter Jannah's gate that is open in this month, and let's stay away from the shaitan that is changing this month. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us get closer to Him, and to make best use of Ramadan, and to be able to catch the night of Qadr. Ameen.